Hello everyone, this is Jef Welch, Mentoring in Motion. Now, I want to share with you something very special today, and it's one of the chapters in a book that I'm writing. And this chapter is entitled Desperate for Change. And I hope this helps someone. And in fact, if it does, I'd like for you to share that with me in the comments, or share that with me by sharing this video with others to help them as well. Anyway, God bless, and I hope you listen very well to these words, because to me, they're very meaningful, not only to me, but to others as well, that I've helped along the way. Desperate for change. You're not alone if you're a bit intimidated by change, even if you're desperate for it. Taking a step of faith seems to be a common phrase and easy to say to someone. But when it's you that needs to take that step outside the self-designed dungeon of mediocrity, the fears get personal and real all of a sudden. Sadly, many who take on the challenge of change do so out of desperation rather than following through with a well laid out plan that is designed prior to facing or being faced with the pressures of necessity at the time. Change is inevitable, either being forced upon you or by your own recognizance. Disciplines have a huge influence in whether it's a forced change or a planned change. Strategic planning places less non-calculated stress and typically creates better results, while forced change induces much higher levels of undue stress. However, none of us are immune to stress, challenge, or changes. Who Moved My Cheese is a book by best-selling author Spencer Johnson. It's basically a metaphor about two mice and two little men, two little people, in a hunt for cheese. The general overall analogy of the book brings about an additional concept dealing with change, which is brought about by involvement and interactive connectivity to others and their influences. My point is, regardless if you are desperate and need change or if you're disciplined and plan for change, there's a third factor and a force which is to be reckoned with, and that is the influence of others, or the environment which impacts your life by the circumstances around you. It's not always planned. Things always happen beyond your control. Nirvana is a mythical and blissful thought of the perfect life, world, or personal environment. Our own humanity and its imperfect set of occurrences are oxymoronic in nature to constant nirvana. Sure, you can have a peaceful and content life, but without challenges, discipline, and outside forces which place some level of stress, we would have no inspiration to grow or conquer our objectives or goals. Interestingly, our continuous individual evolution of growth and self-development changes who we are while we remain who we have always been. Let me explain. You're not just adjusting to change, you are change. Your environment and circumstances aren't the only things changing. You are. Your cells are reproducing at an astonishing rate for replenishing and replacing your old cells at approximately every 7 years. Some organs, such as your skin and your pancreas, are regenerating much faster than that. But you're still the same person. You're still you. But are you? Let's use a candle and a match as an example. If you strike a match, you see a flame. If you light the candle with the match, now you have two flames. Is it the same flame, or is it two flames? It's the same flame, but it's also two flames. If you blow out the match and the candle is still burning, the flame is still continuing to burn. It's the same flame, but it's a different flame as well, because it has changed. It has evolved. And some would say the flame has transformed. If the candle is left burning and you see the flame 30 minutes later, it's the same flame or a different flame. It's both. If you light other candles from the flame of the original candle, you have many flames, but the same. Have I confused you yet? This is just a simple way of saying you are evolving. You're changing, transforming every moment of your life. Change is inevitable, and you're not completely in control of it all. It's called life. So if change is inevitable, but certain changes can be predetermined by you, your disciplines and your strategic planning share in the control of the changes you must and will go through. You can direct much of your destiny through calculated decisions that you make rather than 100% of your life on autopilot. If you don't guide your thoughts, your feelings, and make strategic decisions, you diminish the odds of things going as well as they should. In fact, you're going to experience more chaos, and you'll find yourself subject to manipulation of others and circumstances to make desperate decisions that will only produce fractional results, and most likely negative ones. So the objective is to plan ahead as much as possible, minimizing chaos and unexpected outside influences, especially the onslaught of desperation. After all, it's better to keep your flame burning. If you don't plan ahead, you may possibly find you're all out of candles and the flames of inspiration, motivation, and audacity begin to weaken. That's when real desperation kicks in, or the decision to give up. Giving up isn't an option, in my opinion. Occasional desperation can be a motivator, but consistent desperation can eat away at your confidence and your security, like termites feasting on your home a little at a time. It should be a priority to nurture and protect your motivations and the things that inspire you to progress forward in life. This is where your purpose in life defines your path either forward or into a swamp of stagnant waters. Even the strongest of individuals can eventually experience burnout if they feel the consistency of negative impact and pressure. Someone I admired highly and considered one of my mentors in my younger years in leadership development went through a chain of tough spots financially. It all seemed to pile up on him, one bad decision after another. He invested into some scams in other countries and lost the rest of his wealth in the recession in 2008. I saw his emotional security levels drop as fast as his financial securities. He was struggling with his confidence in himself. This was a man who had done more in leadership than most I had ever known. But even he was not invincible to the overwhelming pressures that took over his life. What did happen, and why did it happen? He was convinced that his unsubstantiated gambles were going to pay off big, but he was gambling on things that others had manipulated him into investing into, instead of investing into the things he personally understood within his own experience and wisdom. He spent his entire life capitalizing on his ability to lead and make decisions based on his own recognizant, calculated abilities. He trusted the wrong people. Here was a man I admired, one of my mentors, who inspired so many others to become great leaders, who convinced people to never give up, but he gave up. He lost his companion in life. He had become bitter, angry, and distraught about life, and she couldn't take it, and she couldn't take the abuse any longer. Then he lost her as well. He turned to alcohol and drugs, slowly digging deeper into depression and guilt. The more he faced himself, the easier it became for him to blame others for everything that had gone wrong in his life. His desperation for wealth had turned into greed, which had turned into selfishness and foolishness, irrational decisions, which caused him to be more and more desperate until desperation was no longer a motivator. The drugs and alcohol had taken its toll on his life. You see, your life is but a shadow of your own decisions. And just like a vapor, it vanishes away so quickly if we don't make the best of creating the moments that truly matter. If we are disciplined and we plan strategic paths with merit and purpose, we have a better chance at peace as well as prosperity. True change is laced with purpose, compassion, and a passion to accomplish something with merit. It is where potential is born. Your potential is increased with constant attention to the disciplines that chisel trails through the jungles of decision. I encourage change, but it must be at least calculated and intentional. Your potential increases as you design your destiny. A destiny without design always runs short of your expectations, and the candles of motivation will eventually burn out and leave you on the dark side of desperation. Take time to define your destiny. And yes, even as you grow and evolve, your original design destiny you envision may not be the ultimate reality. Why? Because as you grow, change, and accept the challenges, your destiny becomes more and more known to you. And it evolves with you as well. Hebrews 11:1 says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." The kind of change you need is always a step of now faith. When I read that verse in the Bible, the word now stands out as a reminder that it isn't the past or the future that we live in. We only live in the now, the present moment. Everything else is hopefully what defines our wisdom and hope. This is Jef Welch. Hope that this chapter has helped you or enlightened you to become better, or maybe that it will help you just to understand change. Desperate for change is much different than your strategy that is planned out, because strategies will create the path. Desperation will destroy it. God bless.